Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable James A. Farley, Postmaster-General of the United States and Chairman of the Democratic National Committee, is the guest of honor tonight at a huge banquet attended by his friends. The brilliantly lighted, flag-bedecked grand ballroom of the Hotel Mayflower in Washington is filled to overflowing with more than 1,800 admirers of the genial chairman participating in this spontaneous testimonial dinner for the man who has managed the campaigns which resulted in Democratic victories at the polls. The President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States are seated at the small speaker's table along with General Farley. Before them at the many tables placed on the ballroom floor are the other members of the President's Cabinet, members of Congress, governors of many of the states, national Democratic committeemen and committeewomen, and others from throughout the United States who have come from near and far to pay their respects to the man they know as Jim.
Ladies and gentlemen, to wind up my pleasure and my duty here tonight, I have one other function to perform. And that is to present to you our friend, our leader, the President of the United States.
Mr. Vice President, Jim Farley, I'm not going to say fellow Democrats. I'm going to say fellow Americans. Because in this gathering are represented those whom the voters of the United States and all of the states of the Union have called upon to take part in, to a great degree, in the government of all the people of the country, no matter where they may be. And so I say, fellow Americans. I wish I could go down the line. I wish I could talk about a lot of you in a very personal way, because there are not many who are here tonight that can go back further than I do. Jack Garner has me beaten by 10 years. Very few others took an active part in the government of this country prior to the Democratic victory of 1912. And yet, those of you who are older and those of you who are younger have read history, certainly the history of the last half century of the country. And in reading that history, I take it that there are few people, I might say no people, who in the affairs of party government, and after all, for 140 years out of our 150 years, our government has been run on the principle of two great parties. There is no one in all that time who has a greater importance in the government of the country from the point of view of responsible party government than Jim Farley. But this dinner to Jim Farley is on the part of all of us a very personal affair. It is not one of those official banquets with a formal list of formal speakers talking on formal subjects into the small hours of the morning. It is not a political gathering, or a party gathering, or a victory gathering for that matter, or even a gathering to hatch some mysterious plot or pull off a coup d'etat. And the only label appropriate for the occasion is a very simple one, which, with my permission, the cartoonists may copy. Jim Farley and his friends. Many of us have known him through the years. Some of you have been associated with him for only a short time. But all of us, old and young alike, have a common regard, a common affection for Jim, an affection that transcends formality because it's based on the man himself. History has recorded already and will continue to record a great many interesting facts about Jim. In due time, history will talk out loud about his younger days of public service to his town on the Hudson River and his county and his state. And history will talk about his organizing of campaigns in state and nation. It will speak of his fine service as a member of the Cabinet of the United States, as administrator of an important department of the federal government. It may even add his name to the distinguished list of major prophets. Some of us old people remember 1896. And even as the name of William Jennings Bryan sometimes to suggest, even as the name of the great commoner sometimes suggests, the arithmetic of 16 to 1, even so perhaps the name of Jim Farley will suggest the more modern arithmetic of 46 to 2. But when history is written, after all of us have passed from the scene, there'll be something more important than the mere chronicle of success in public office. In the book of history, there are going to be other things written. Loyalty will be written there. That loyalty to friends that results in loyalty from friends. And honor and decency will be written there. The honor and decency that have done much to raise the standards of public service in the American nation. And good temper will be written there. The kind of good temper that's based on a sense of perspective, a sense of humor, and a sense of forgiveness. In all my years of association with Jim Farley, I've never once heard him utter one mean syllable about any human being. And I've never heard him suggest revenge or reprisal, except once. And that was when, after a particularly vicious and mean attack that was made on him personally, Jim went to this long extent and said to me, "Governor," and he's always called me Governor, he said, "Governor, that fella's mother ought to spank you." a certain Saturday, before a certain first Tuesday after the first Monday in November, in speaking to the workers at headquarters, and I'm glad that so many of them are here tonight, I praised Jim for the way he'd taken things on the chin and had come up smiling every time. That means one more thing. It means courage. And there's not a man in the United States who has a more deep-seated, thoroughgoing courage than he has. Back of it all, ultimate history will analyze the causes of human actions and the causes of human qualities. And that ultimate history will, I think, agree with my analysis when I say that Jim Farley is not just a Democrat with a big D. He's a Democrat in the sense that he has faith in his fellow men. He likes to believe, and he does believe, that men and women in every part of our country are fundamentally decent, fundamentally honest, and that if they are given a chance through democratic processes, their decisions will be fundamentally sound. Because of this belief, he's made, in his short span of life, for he's only a child, and I know he's going to make, through all the years to come, a definite contribution to the success of the democratic processes of American institutions. Jim wouldn't like it if I were to say we love him for the enemies he's made, because Jim doesn't think in terms of human enmity, but I can tell him that we love him for the friends that he's made. Men and women and children, regardless of party. Men, women, and children in every community of every one of our 48 states, including Maine and Vermont. And so I know that you join with me in wishing him health and happiness through all the years to come. Health and happiness to my friend and your friend, a faithful servant of the people of our republic, Jim Farley.